The backyard gate creaks open at 2:17 p.m., exactly 5 minutes after I pull out of the driveway. On my laptop screen, grainy webcam footage shows him. My neighbor, baseball cap low, moving fast toward the patio. He grabs the red 5-gallon can, tilts it, grins when he hears the slosh, then pours it straight into his car tank. Returns the empty can like nothing happened. Same as the last 3 weeks. But this time, the can isn't full of gas. Not anymore. For 7 straight days, every time nature called, I answered right there in that can. Now it's a weapon, and he's about to take the bait I've been dangling all morning, me loading bags into the car, yelling loud enough for him to hear. I'll be gone for days. Road trip. I drive around the block. Park, wait, and watch. It started small, the way most neighbor wars do. My lawnmower tank held maybe a quart. I'd fill the big red can once a month, mow every weekend, and still have plenty left. Then suddenly the can was bone dry every time I reached for it. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I forgot to refill, maybe the cap was loose and it evaporated. But 3 weeks in a row? No. Someone was helping themselves. This was early 2000s. No Ring cameras, no cheap Wise cams on every porch. If you wanted proof, you had to get creative. I rigged an old webcam to my laptop, pointed it out the back window, set motion detection software to record to the hard drive. Left for errands one afternoon. Came back 2 hours later. Footage showed him plain as day. Neighbor from 2 houses down, strolling through my open side gate like he owned the place, grabbing the can, siphoning or pouring, then strolling back out. 5 minutes after I left, every time. I could have confronted him, yelled across the fence, called the cops over petty theft. But this guy wasn't just a gas thief. He was the neighborhood asshole. Loud parties till 3 a.m., dogs barking nonstop, trash blown into everyone's yard, rumors of domestic calls. And yeah, I'd heard whispers about outstanding warrants. Confrontation would have escalated. I wanted something cleaner. Something that hurt without me lifting a finger in public. So I waited and planned. For the next week, every single time I needed to use the bathroom, I walked to the back patio, unscrewed the cap, added my contribution, shook it gently so it mixed. Gas smell still strong enough on top, especially to someone who wasn't paying close attention. By day 7, the can was heavy again, piss heavy, but looked innocent sitting there in the sun. Friday morning, I started the show. Loaded a duffel bag into my trunk, carried out a cooler, yelled to no one in particular, gonna be gone for days, heading upstate, finally some peace and quiet, made sure my voice carried, made sure he heard. Then I backed out, waved like I was off to paradise, and drove around the block, parked out of sight, walked back through the alley, hid behind the shed with my laptop, and waited. The wait wasn't long. Less than an hour after I left, the gate creaked again. I crouched lower behind the shed, laptop balanced on my knees, webcam feed live. There he was. Same cap, same casual swagger, like this was just another quick errand. He scanned the yard once, saw the red can sitting proud on the patio table where I'd left it after my little performance. A quick glance toward the driveway, empty car spot, no movement in the windows. He grinned, grabbed the handle, lifted, frowned for half a second at the weight. Heavier than usual, but gas cans can be full, right? Shrugged it off, took it straight to his garage. I didn't stick around to watch the pour. Slipped back to my car, drove a loop, parked a street over, and waited for the fallout. First sign came about 20 minutes later. The pull cord whine of his mower starting up, then choking. Cough, cough, sputter. Silence. Then again, yank, yank, yank. Engine tried, coughed wetly, died. I could hear the cursing from my spot, low at first, then louder, angrier. Goddamn piece of shit, yank. Sputter, nothing. He stormed out front, red-faced, sweat already beading under the cap. Kicked the mower wheel, cursed again. Then, jackpot. He turned to his car. Probably figured the lawn could wait. He'd drive to the gas station, fill a fresh can, come back. Simple. He got in, turned the key. Engine caught. Rough, but caught. Pulled out slow. I eased my car forward just enough to see him turn the corner. 2 blocks. Maybe 3. Then the car lurched. A puff of white smoke from the exhaust. Another lurch. It rolled to a pathetic stop right in the middle of the quiet street. Hazard lights flicked on. He popped the hood, stared at the engine like it had personally insulted him. Tried to start it again. Click. Nothing. He slammed the hood, kicked the tire, pulled out his phone, probably calling a tow or a buddy. I stayed parked, windows up, radio low, watching through binoculars like some low-budget spy movie. Back home, I strolled into the yard, casual as anything. The red can sat empty on the patio again. Cap loose. A faint, unmistakable whiff. Not pure gas anymore. More like regret. He didn't come back for hours. When he finally limped home, walked the last mile, I heard later from another neighbor. The mower was still dead in the garage, the car was towed to some shop, and his face looked like he'd aged a decade. He glared at my house once. Long, hard, but said nothing. Didn't knock, didn't accuse, just disappeared inside and slammed his door. I poured myself a cold drink, sat on my own porch, and smiled. The can went back in the shed, empty, cleaned, ready for real gas next time. But the revenge wasn't quite finished. See, while I was setting up the piss trap, I'd done a little digging, public records, court sites. Turns out my neighbor had 2 active bench warrants. Failure to appear on some petty stuff. Unpaid fines. A DUI thing from years back. Nothing violent, but enough that if someone helpfully pointed them out. So I printed the warrant info. Found the local sheriff's office ride-along program page. Filled out the online form in his name. Checked the box for interested in community policing opportunities. Added his real phone number. Hit submit. A week later, I heard the sirens. 2 cruisers pulled up quiet in the middle of the afternoon. Deputies knocked. He answered. They talked low on the porch. Handcuffs came out. He went in the back of one car, head down. Neighbors watched from windows. No one said a word to me. But word got around fast. They took him in on the warrants. He posted bail eventually, but the damage was done. The neighborhood knew. The thefts stopped. The late-night parties quieted. Even his dogs seemed better behaved. I never spoke to him again. Never had to. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's quiet, patient, and smells faintly of ammonia. The fallout rolled out slow and sweet, like watching a bad movie you already know the ending to. The next morning, his car was back, towed home, probably at his expense. He spent the whole day under the hood, tools scattered on the driveway, muttering to himself. Every so often, he'd glance over at my house, eyes narrow, like he was piecing it together. But he never came over, never knocked, never accused. Smart, in a way. Admitting he'd been stealing would have opened a whole other door he didn't want to walk through. The mower stayed dead in the garage. He tried siphoning what little gas was left in the tank. I watched from the kitchen window while sipping coffee. Poured it into a jar, sniffed it, recoiled like he'd been slapped. Poured it out on the grass. The patch turned brown by evening. Piss and gasoline, nature's weed killer. Word spread quiet but fast in the neighborhood. The old lady across the street mentioned it casually when I was watering plants. Heard your neighbor had some engine trouble. Funny how it happened right after he borrowed things again. I just shrugged. Cars these days, huh? She smiled, knew exactly what went down. Didn't say another word. Then came the real punchline. About 10 days after the trip bait, a sheriff's cruiser rolled up mid-afternoon. No lights, no drama, just two deputies stepping out, polite knock on his door. He answered in a wife beater and shorts, looking hungover. They talked on the porch for maybe 5 minutes. Showed him papers. He read. Face went pale. Hands went behind his back. Cuffs clicked. They walked him to the car, gentle but firm. He didn't resist. Just kept his head down the whole way. Neighbors gathered at windows like it was free TV. One kid on a bike stopped and stared, mouth open. The cruiser pulled away, slow. Gone. I found out later, through the grapevine, not because I asked, that the ride-along application worked better than I'd hoped. They called him to confirm interest in the program. He laughed it off on the phone. They ran his name anyway. Routine check. Warrants popped. 2 bench warrants, 1 failure to appear on a misdemeanor, another old unpaid fine that had snowballed. Enough to haul him in. He sat in county for a weekend before someone bailed him out. Came home quieter. A lot quieter. The thefts stopped cold. No more late-night gate creaks. No more empty cans. His yard stayed overgrown for weeks. Guess the mower never recovered. He sold the car eventually, got something cheaper. Moved a few months later. No goodbye wave. Just a U-Haul at dawn and an empty house. I kept the red can. Cleaned it out with bleach twice. Refilled it with real gas. Mowed my lawn every weekend like clockwork. Never ran low again. Looking back, it wasn't about the gas. Not really. It was about the boundary, the nerve, the assumption that he could just take because no one would stop him. I stopped him. Quiet, no yelling, no fists, just patience, a full bladder, and a little creative paperwork. Sometimes revenge doesn't roar. It whispers. It waits. And when it lands, the target never sees it coming, until the engine sputters, the cuffs click, and the only thing left to steal is his own dignity on the way out. The can still sits in my shed, red, shiny, full, and every time I grab it to mow, I smile, just a little.